Hello everyone, I am the storyteller, and tonight I am here just to help you relax, to drift off to sleep by the sound of the waves, like the whispers of old souls. I know you have come to this video not just to hear the story, but also to find a deep, peaceful sleep. But before we begin, please gently like the video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to tell you strange stories under the dim moonlight. Where are you from? And what time is it where you live? Just relax. Let your body relax. Put all your worries down by your pillow. Let me take you into a world of mysteries where the wind and the waves mingle and unsolved mysteries are waiting to be told. Are you ready? Am I living in a haunted house? I lay in bed reading a horror book when I see movement from the corner of my eye coming from the other side of the closed curtain. I slowly lower my book, my mind screaming at me not to. There is a shadow floating on the right side of my window. At first, I thought it was the shadow of the flag, flapping in the wind, but quickly realized this is no flag. I stare at the shadow as it moves up, then to the left, then down, then to the right, before repeating the cycle again. What the heck is it? I mutter. The shadow changes shape repeatedly until it stops, and now resembles the head of a dragon. At first, my curiosity piques, but then an unexplainable fear overtakes my senses, and I am on the verge of leaping out of bed. Whatever is distracting me does not bring peace my way, but a terror that will affect my lifetime. I thank God the curtain remains closed, for I do not care to see what is producing that shadow, for I had a feeling it will cause my sanity to leave me. Yet there seems to be an unknown force pulling me to the curtains. The shadow floats by my window for eternity, haunting me. I cannot pull my eyes from this shadow. Thankfully, it eventually dissipates, and I can relax. A weight lifts from my body, and the fear dissipates. I get up from the bed, wondering if I should go over to the window and throw open the curtains or exit the room. Restroom break, I say to myself as I open the door and walk down the hallway to the bathroom. This is the first eerie episode I had encountered in this house I recently occupied. A one-story home with a garage, living room, dining room, kitchen, laundry room, 3 bedrooms, and 1.5 bathrooms. No talk of evil spirits by the past owners, but would they honestly say such to me? For they did not look like such fools. They were the first occupants when the house came into existence, and all went well for them. That is what they say to the ignorant future owner. For the next week, I did my best to explain the bizarre episode. At first, a floating balloon entangled by the pole of the flag, but I never saw a balloon changing shapes by itself. My imagination tends to run wild, especially when I am reading a book. Could this be my imagination at work? I purchased a couple of small dogs to keep me company not long after. Not intimidating to the human world, but hopefully toward the ones from the beyond. It made me feel much better to have another living being in my house. A month went by when the next episode took place in my house. "Get out of there!" I call out to Bingo, the mischievous one, who is trying to get into the fireplace, for I have thrown the covering to the bacon into the place. As I went back to the recliner, I thought I heard a noise come from the back door. I stop in my tracks and listen for a time, but only hear Bingo moving about. I look around, not seeing Ringo, so possibly him. The dog's food and water dish are in the laundry room, close to the back door, so very will possible, so thought nothing of the matter as I go over to sit, and back to the book on the Crusades. Not long after I started reading, I heard the noise again. It sounded like something tapping on the door, then tapping the floor, then back to tapping the door. I sat there for about a minute, listening to the episode. "Ringo!" I called out. The tapping stopped. What is that dog doing? I get ready to walk around the corner and into the kitchen to the laundry room, when I hear a distinct sound that stops me in my tracks. The sounds of a heavy boot walking from the laundry room toward where I am. I look around, trying to find something to use as a weapon. I see the small baseball bat lying next to the chair. I quickly grabbed the bat as the steps came closer. I raise it up, ready for the intruder to come around the corner. If the intruder has a gun, my life will end. But I will get in a good swing or two, I hope. I continue to wait as the footsteps cross the kitchen floor, but seems to be taking too long to appear in front of me. I stand there, not sure what to do. The steps stop, and the anxiety goes up. For is the intruder going to appear, or do I go to it? I ponder if I should call out, but it would more than likely come out as a squeak, so kept my mouth shut. Perspiration covers my body as fear grips me. I stand for who knows how long, trying to decide what to do. Decision abruptly comes forth as I step forward toward the kitchen, with the bat raised to swing. I near the entrance to the kitchen, wondering if I should jump out or peek around the corner. Just get it over with, I thought. I leaped out, prepared to swing, but there was no one there. Instead, Ringo looked up at me. I looked toward the laundry room, seeing no movement. "There is no way you could have made those sounds," I said to Ringo. Ringo walked past me into the living room, leaving me to confront the intruder. I meandered through the kitchen toward the laundry room, preparing for the intruder to leap out. But when I entered the laundry room, there was no one there. I checked the doorknob. Locked. What could have created those noises? I muttered. There was only one other place I had not checked out, and that was past the laundry room and into the bathroom. The room only had a sink and a toilet, so there was no space for the perpetrator to hide. I walked to the bathroom, seeing no one in the room. I went over to the window and saw it latched shut. "Nothing," I said. I turned around and was about to leave the bathroom when I heard the footsteps again. They started on the other side of the kitchen, coming toward me, but my eyesight saw nothing. I grabbed the doorknob and slammed the door shut as the steps entered the laundry room. I quickly locked the door as the steps came up to the door and stopped. I had the bat raised, ready for whatever tried to break in. If I still had my sanity, I would realize the bat would do nothing to my invisible terror. What am I experiencing? I thought. Too much horror I'm taking in that is bringing madness upon me. I am not a believer in ghosts, but is this what I am encountering? Am I living in a haunted house? I mutter. As I mutter the words, I hear the tapping on the floor, then on the back door, then back to the floor. This went on for a time before it stopped. Then the footsteps started up again, heading to the other end of the kitchen, ending. I slowly opened the door, seeing there was no one around. I need to get out of this area. I rushed toward the living room, at one moment feeling quite cold, but soon I was in the living room by the fireplace. Both dogs lay on the couch, looking at me. "What is your problem?" I can imagine them saying. I went over to the coffee table and grabbed the remote control, put on some sound, and hopefully that will calm me down. I turned on the television and turned up the volume. I did not want to hear the footsteps and the tapping. Part of me wanted to leave the house, to never return. The other half, thinking whatever was creating the noise was not causing me any harm, just freaking me out, I muttered. But not freaking my dogs out. I sat down in my chair, with the bat nearby, knowing the bat was useless against a ghost. But it was reassuring to have it near me. Anyway, the rest of the night, I sat in the chair watching the tube, then dozed off to wake up an hour later, wondering if the ghost was still around. There is no way I'm going in that kitchen. I eventually dozed off again, waking up off and on throughout the night. My day at work was miserable due to lack of sleep. I spent the entire time contemplating on what I should do. I could move out, but then I would end up losing much money and wind up in an apartment, which I do not want to do. I could go to a church and have a priest bless the house. I could have a psychic or ghost hunter come in, or just live with it and get over my fears. If harm did not come my way, then I should be okay. But what about my sanity? It could make it an interesting home life, I muttered. My life was dull overall, so the reason I read so much of the fantastical. Living this kind of life in my house might be interesting. Of course, part of me screaming I was insane to have such thoughts. It came to me living at the house, encountering footsteps once a month, and little odd things happening. At first, scared, but eventually I became numb. Soon, I was like my dogs, and just enjoyed the roof over my head, no matter how bizarre it was to live under it. Monster with two faces. She tries to persuade me every time I see her. The problem is, she doesn't know me like I know me. She doesn't know I have two faces. One, an angelic face, acceptable to society. It's the one I show her and everyone else. The other face is an unsettling one, with the coolness of its dead gray eyes and the chill of its lifeless skin. I keep it locked inside the most hidden parts of me. I can't show it to the world. They won't accept it. "How are you doing today, Nicole?" she asks as she sips her chamomile tea. The smell makes me nauseous. I hate the smell of lavender. If not the lavender, it could be the honey. Whatever smell exists inside her cup, making her so calm. My fingers itch to shatter the mug in her hands and watch her lose her composure. I detest the way she tilts her head. Mostly, I can't stand the pity in her eyes as she uses her words to claw at my layers. She wants to understand me. I want to understand why she wastes her time. I've spent years with myself, and even I don't know how I became this sick creature writhing in on itself in front of her. Actually, that's a lie. It takes a monster to create a monster. Still, what happens when a monster wants to become human? I search her face like she holds the keys to my humanity. I can't complain. I smile through my words. Life treats me well enough. The clock ticks down on the wall like a slow, dripping faucet. 58 minutes to go. She watches me watch the door. I imagine I look like a dog thrown in a tub for a bath. I need to be clean, yet I watch the door because I hate the water. I watch it like my life depends on it. Any second, the door will crack open with an escape from this horrible magnifying glass I'm under. I wait for more words to pour out of her like suds, washing away the dirtiest parts of me. Last time, we made real progress. I'm proud of you for sharing pieces of your past. It can be hard to share parts of yourself with a stranger. Her words irritate my nervous system, setting me on edge. I'm not sharing parts of me to make her proud. She speaks to me like I have a choice being here. I don't have a choice. I am sick. I am so sick inside. Society says sitting on a couch is the answer to sewing my aching flesh back together into something that looks human. It isn't hard, actually. When I talk about myself, I don't feel anything at all. It's like talking about a stranger to a stranger. She takes another slow sip of her disgusting tea and pierces me with her eyes. They're green, with layers of yellow, like a dying lawn on a hot summer's day. Her legs cross in crisp pants, white like hospital walls. I stare with an empty feeling in my chest at her sandals. Her toes peek through the tops with a fresh red pedicure. Rich blonde highlights color her hair, not a single strand out of place. She holds herself together with confidence and grace. I can't help wondering what it's like to love yourself like that. I can't help wondering what it's like to love yourself at all. Last time we spoke about your uncle. Do you want to talk more about what happened? How's your boyfriend? I ask. Is he still out of town? Must be hard. She takes the bait. He should be back the 1st of next month. We spend the next 30 minutes talking about the places he travels for work. She's oblivious to the way I can bat around our conversations like a cat with a mouse. I can't say why I waste these sessions like this. I can, but no one will like the answer. I waste them because I want help, and I don't want help. I want to pretend I'm putting in the work to be more human. Look at me. I am one step closer to being like all the other humans around me. I'm not an empty shell. I am not a monster. With 10 minutes of our session left on the clock, I feel safe sliding over another dirty part of me for her to clean. My fingers tangle themselves in the gray fleece blanket on her couch while I choose my words. I won't tell her the full truth. I'll tell her half and see how she reacts. You never know with humans. They say they want to help you. They only want what's best for you. In my experience, they will throw you under the bus the moment it serves them. I'm not condemning them. Don't get me wrong. How could I? I do the same thing and worse. Sometimes I throw people under the bus for no reason other than because I feel like it. I think I have an addiction, I confess. Her response is safe and neutral. A lot of people struggle with addictions. It takes a lot of courage to ask for help. I rearrange my face into what I think looks like relief. That makes me feel better. Her lips are glossed over with rosy pink tint. I watch, fascinated with the way they glisten as she speaks. What are you struggling with? I pause before I answer. I'm shifting through my memories of the night before. I've been seeing the same man for 6 weeks. His name isn't important. I don't bother too often with things like that. It lasted a little longer this time than it usually does. Thoughts of his hands on my thighs and his lips on my neck make me shiver. I consider how to tell this perfect blonde woman in front of me how sex is the only thing that makes me feel anything at all. 6 weeks before him, it was someone who only lasted 10 minutes. Anthony, was it? We locked eyes in the elevator on our way to biology. College campus was always deserted for our late-night classes. He had dark hair and a lazy smile. His brown eyes lingered on mine a bit too long after the doors closed, and I knew. I closed the gap between us and slipped my tongue into his mouth. He tasted like strawberry Pop-Tarts. He didn't move for a moment, and then there he was, sliding warm hands up my dress like they had a right to be there. Men are like that. I can't seem to stop eating, I confess. We have only a few minutes left of our session. She spends this time talking to me about how to sit with cravings. It's all in one ear and out the other. She tells me when the impulses hit me, try to resist for as long as I can. If I can resist for 1 hour, resist for 1 hour. If I can resist for 5 minutes, resist for 5 minutes. I smile and thank her for the session. You help me so much. I am grateful for these discussions. I can't tell you how much you've done for me since I started seeing you for therapy. I lie. I quickly shoot for the door. An hour of compassion, real or fake, is too much for me. It makes my skin crawl when people show things like affection or kindness. I wish she would tell me I'm disgusting. I long to hear her tell me I am a waste of space who can't be saved. Anything out of those perfect pink lips resembling the truth. Instead, she wastes all our time with empty words as she tries to convince me I am not a monster. Hours after our session, I find myself with a strange man I don't know. We had talked earlier on a dating app. He's attractive enough, with a single dimple on his left cheek when he smiles. Not that looks really matter much to me. I slide into a green Toyota Camry with a missing passenger mirror. It smells like cigarettes and old fast food bags. Baby, you are so hot, he tells me as he paws at my thigh with his calloused fingers. I'll be honest, there is a small part of me who wishes I would stop doing this to myself. I hate the way I give myself to anyone who asks. Yet, that's the thing about addictions. Even if you hate yourself for it, you can't stop. I take his hand and slide it further up my skirt. I hear him breathe in deep, and I can tell how much he wants me. His car brings us to a gloomy-looking house in a sketchy part of town. We are in a dark room that smells like sweat. Before I can blink, he is on me. His fingers are wrapping around my throat. He holds me down, taking what he wants. His other hand is lost in my hair. He pulls it rough enough. It stings, bringing tears to my eyes. I want to scream for him to stop. I don't. Like I told you before, I'm sick inside. I hold myself hostage and force myself to lay still. I won't escape from this. I'll stay until I learn to love it. If I were a bit more human, this would be nothing for me. I'd love it all the same ways all the other humans do. It's only because I am a monster that I feel disgusting inside. The night sky is empty. abandoned by the moon, as we climb in the car for him to take me home. He tells me how captivated he is by my smile, how when he saw it for the first time, he felt like he was the only person left in the world. He asks me when he can see me again. I already know the answer as I climb from his car to the asphalt parking lot, glittering in the street light. The concrete stairwell swallows me into its many shadows, and I am indifferent to the fact I'll never see him again. Another week passes, and I am on her couch again, the therapist. I can feel the bruises on my thighs. There are marks all over my body she can't see, even as I sit in front of her. It's always like this. How often do we sit in front of another person's eyes, and they can't see the wounds covering us? It makes me laugh. Part of me thinks I should confess. I don't bother. You can't tell someone about the wounds you inflict on yourself. Wasn't I asking for it? How are we doing this week, Nicole? I'm fine. How are you? Small talk makes me gag. Even so, I've learned to play the game over the years. It's empty when someone asks you how you are. They ask, yet I promise, when you tell them what's really beneath your surface, they will avoid you after. We're all liars here. Monsters like me are more willing to admit the truth. Ironic, isn't it? How are the nightmares? My body clenches at her words, like she hit me. This is what I'm here for, I remind myself. I'm here to fix my disfigured mind, my malformed thinking, my disturbed existence. I'm here to become human again. He was in them, I admit. As soon as I say the words, he's there with me on the couch. He tucks loose pieces of hair behind my ear and drags me back to our memories together. You're such a pretty girl, Nicole. You know it, don't you? I am 10 years old again, and I nod. I love it when he makes me feel special like this. I am the only one he talks to this way. I mean so much to him. He places an innocent hand on my shoulder and then pulls with long fingers at the lace on my sleeves. Do you like this dress I bought for you? I love it, I tell him, while I give the white lacy dress a twirl for his viewing pleasure. I never knew my dad, so this relationship is special for me. Uncle Dean always goes out of his way to do nice things for my sake. No one has to tell me how lucky I am to have him take care of me. He pulls me onto his lap, where he tugs at my fly-away curls, twisting their chestnut-colored locks in his hands. People tell him all the time what a cute little girl he has. They tell me I look like him. It's almost as if I'm his daughter and not his niece. I've been thinking, Nicole, you are getting older now. And with what a pretty girl you're turning out to be, we have some things to talk about. I look at his eyes, a cold mixture of gray and blue, and hang on to his every word. I've noticed in the past the way people look at him when we go out together. His hair is blonde and wavy in a way that complements his fair skin. His shoulders are broad, and the arms he holds me with are strong, with thick muscles. He's handsome. It's not just me who listens when he speaks. It's like the people around him can't help it. His words are always captivating. His smile makes you feel like you are the only person in the world. I'm proud he belongs to me. I'm worried boys will start giving you problems. He frowns, and it crushes me. I study his lips and wonder what's wrong with me, that boys will give me problems. I can't stand the look of displeasure on his face. I'll do anything to replace it with a smile. My fingers find the bottom of my dress where I tear at it helplessly. I can't let myself be a burden to him, not when he took responsibility for a child who wasn't his. I think it's important for me to teach you how to handle them for when you're older, don't you think? I nod, eager to cheer him up. You're a good girl, Nicole. I know you'll do fine. He leans in close to my ear, with my curls still twisted in his fingers. When you get older, men will expect you to please them. I don't want you to worry. I'll teach you how. I'll teach you everything you need to know. A voice startles me from my memories. Nicole? Nicole? Where did you go? I look up and see her, the therapist, the one who is supposed to hold all the answers to my questions, the angel who tells me none of this is my fault, and how I am not the monster he made me. I smile towards her, as if I had been here on the couch with her the whole time. I smile as if I don't remember every single lesson he taught me. Is everything all right? Her eyes are concerned. You have tears running down your face. I lift a hand to my cheek and realize she's telling the truth. I touch the wetness with fingers that don't feel like my own. This happens to me all the time. I'm in my body, but I'm not. I don't understand where the tears come from either. After all, I am a monster. I'm numb. Whether I hurt others or make them laugh, I feel nothing inside me at all. This is a safe place, Nicole. I'm here to listen. I can't help finding her words amusing. I've been to safe places before, you see. That's where I discovered safe places are the most dangerous places of all. The places where you let down your guard and trust the people around you, leave you vulnerable. Those kinds of places are where monsters live. You enter them and never know they're watching you, waiting. They wait for the moments they can bury their claws into your flesh, taking things from you that you will never get back. Monsters are real, despite those who lack conviction. It's only fools who believe in safe places. Last night, I sat on my kitchen floor and ate an entire cake. I lie to her again. I couldn't stop myself. Don't you think that makes me disgusting? I can't tell if her sympathy is real or fake. I can't tell if she only has one face, the face she looks at me with, or if she too has another one buried deep inside her. I study her cheetah print shirt and the gold hoop earrings underneath her straightened hair. I can't tell if she's human or if she's another monster like me. We hide so well sometimes that we don't even recognize the monsters deep inside ourselves. Of course, I don't think that, she tells me. Her words offer me the smallest amount of relief. I feel myself relax for only a fraction of a second. It's all I can ever relax after I turned into this creature. I give her my best smile. You don't think I'm a monster? She reassures me she doesn't. I slide out of her heavy wooden door after the rest of our session has passed and remind myself she is a professional. If she saw a human without a beating heart in front of her, she would know it wasn't human anymore. The fact that she doesn't, it means there is still hope for me. The barber's pole. Oscar sits in his barber's chair, reading the Trentonian on his iPhone, cataloging the day's stories for the early rush. Oscar pays special attention to the stock charts and the upcoming highway projects. People love to talk about making money and to complain about traffic. The bell rings and Michael walks in. He is a tall, well put together trader type in his early 30s, wearing a crisp white button-down and expensive men's Oxford shoes. Oscar yells, "Maria! Maria! Customer! Get in here, I need a wash." Oscar packs the espresso filter basket with Stumptown hair bender, espresso grinds, and tamps down the shot of brown powder. He purges the group head with a quick shot of steam, then locks the filter into the espresso machine and starts brewing. The dark, black espresso drips like droplets of dark black blood. Drip, drip, drip. Then the platelets of the steamy brew ruffle out the lighter oils and gases, lathering them into a milky brown crema in the top of the white espresso cup. It looks like coagulating blood congealing around the white skin of a fresh wound. The association with blood unsettles Oscar. The thought of fresh red blood, thick and full, like pomegranate juice, the irresistible impulse to cut. His mind stirs with perverse thoughts that he cannot silence, even though it is before 9 o'clock a.m. The Oscar pours 2 shots of minty Sambuca Romana alongside the espressos. Something to take the edge off. "Hair of the dog that bit ya," Oscar says, thinking of bite marks on an arm and the serrated cuts of the canine teeth drawing out syrupy red nectar. "Here, sit down, and let's get you a wash." Oscar ushers Michael over to Maria's washing station and down into the sliding chair that leans back over the sink and pushes his head back over the neck rest. Oscar takes his shot and feels a gnawing in his stomach at the thought of blood, an unfathomable craving to drain life from the veins. Maria has inky black hair, still wet from her own morning shower. The fresh, earthy shampoo scents of lavender and mint waft off of her. She also has a hint of a touch of perfume, maybe a Chanel, tantalizing with a musky base and notes of fresh, dense jasmine and the acidic afterbite of citrus. She is college age, but too young to drink legally. Fresh and pure, with clean blue eyes and smooth skin. She speaks in a sing-song way, softly, like a hushed breath. Here, close your eyes. Here, is it too warm? Now, relax your shoulders. Almost done. Oscar is making a trade on his dual trading screens in the corner to distract himself from his bloodlust, while he waits for Michael's wash to be finished. Maria places Michael's head back under the mobile shower head, pours water over his forehead, and smooths the baby fine threads of silky blonde hair back with her soft hands and delicate, ringed fingers. Michael feels the warmth of her palm and the cold of her rings under the rushing water. Maria applies the shampoo and works it through his blonde, straight hair, massaging his forehead and pulling the lather and water back all the way down past his ears to his neck. Then she sits him up and begins toweling him off. "Ready?" Oscar says. He hands Michael his shot of liqueur, which he abruptly drinks, and then sits down in Oscar's chair and dons the barber's apron. "What'll it be? The usual?" As Michael nods, Oscar methodically cleans his Wall Pro Series clippers. He uses a brush to clear the blades and carriage, then sprays some sanitizing disinfectant, twice facing up, once facing down. He applies 3 or 4 drops of oil to the toe and heel of the blade. He runs the clipper, then wipes them down, and begins methodically fading the hair with different length settings to accomplish a clean skin fade. As Oscar cuts and the two men talk, Oscar notices a small skin lesion, a brown mark by the earlobe. It glistens in the fluorescent overhead lighting. "It's been rough," Michael says. "Hey, what do you think of this P&G stock?" Oscar asks. "I'm depressed, Oscar. I feel useless. I don't make any good decisions these days. I don't think you should take my advice on anything. The smell of barbasol is stirred up and invades the nose. A smell of oak moss, coumarin, and clove, intrusive as old eggs." She left him a note. "Dinner is on the table. I was tired," Oscar explains, trying to let Michael know that while it sucks to be out of work, it is a good time to reflect. After all, it is sometimes work that gets in the way of relationships. There is nothing like your own flesh and blood to drive you to madness. Now, it is time for the shave with the straight razor. Oscar reaches over his shoulders and unbuttons the top 2 buttons. He then takes a paper towel and places it over the back collar of the shirt. Oscar unbuttons the cape and drapes it loosely over the shoulders. He pulls out a fresh linen towel and lays it over Michael's right shoulder. He then grabs a hot towel from the towel warmer with a set of tongs and pats it on the chin, mouth, upper lip, and cheeks, while Michael leans his head back and enjoys the steam of the towel, laid now over his forehead and eyes. Oscar uses a small brush to foam the hot lather in a cup. "You have a little growth I haven't seen before," Oscar says. "Oh yeah," Michael says. "Here, take a look," Oscar says, showing him the mirror and where the little brown bump peeks out from the mounds of shaving foam. "Huh, guess I do," Michael says. "After your shave, you want me to lance it off?" Oscar asks, hopefully. "Yeah, guess so," Michael says reflexively. Oscar licks his lips, purses them, nods his head up and down, and feels the adrenaline of the thought of blood rise to his forehead. What a rush. Oscar takes the straight razor off the shelf. He takes a fresh blade from the paper wrapping and places it in the stabilizers by the shoulder of the blade. Oscar applies the hot lather and begins pulling the blade along the skin. The sound is close to Michael's ears and sounds like paper ripping, or like the sound of a rake on the sand. He keeps his eyes closed as Oscar finishes the shave. All the while, Oscar's heart is beating quickly, and his eyes are dilated and buggy in the mirror. A droplet of sweat forms on his brow, just a small nick in the right spot. No. He mustn't think of it. He already has his treat. "You ready?" Oscar says. "No time like the present," Michael tells him. Then Oscar applies pressure, and the blade slips into the skin, just below the imperfection. The slightest circular wince and a pull back out from the cut. As Oscar withdraws the blade and the lesion in one stroke, fresh, syrupy blood pools, the drip of blood, the whooshing sound of the blood flowing through the veins, the gurgle of coagulating blood, clotting and sealing the wound. Oscar feels giddy. There are goosebumps on the back of his neck, and he feels a jolt of adrenaline throughout his whole body. Oscar takes a styptic pencil to bind the wound. The saliva pools on the back of his tongue, looking at the juicy red drops. In a moment, the wound is treated, and all is well. "See you in 2 weeks," Oscar says. Michael hands him a tip, pats his shoulder, and heads out into the bright midday sun. All afternoon, Oscar paces back and forth, turning the chair over with customer after customer. But the call of the blood is like a voice in his head. The dark impulses well up from an unknown source. Try as he might, Oscar can't put it out of his mind. Oscar knows that in medieval times, the barber's pole was a sign of the bloodletting that old-time barber surgeons would perform in their shops. The poles are blue for the veins revealed under a tourniquet, and red for the flowing blood. It was thought that draining one's blood into a metal dish would extract bad humors that caused disease. Barbers also performed amputations, pulled and cleaned teeth, set bones, and even delivered babies. But Oscar could not get the thought of blood out of his head. E.B. had gone down to Two Brothers Pizza and brought back an Italian sub that smelled like wet feet and oil. As he ate it in giant bites, Oscar thought of the gush of blood a bite into human flesh would make. Maria skipped over and plopped down in Oscar's chair. "You want me to scrape clean all the baby hairs on the back of your neck?" Oscar asks Maria. "If it isn't too much trouble," she whispers. Oscar gets his blade ready and pulls up Maria's hair into a high bun, carefully making sure to get all of it held up in the air. Oscar applies the hot foam lather. He begins scraping clean the neckline, but he can see and feel the arteries and veins drawing up her neck, the sound of the blood vessels, the blue rivers running just below the surface, the smell of her Chanel perfume, the moist, young, supple skin. Oscar cannot resist the perverse longing for blood. He is disgusted with himself, ashamed. But the cut is everything. "Almost done," Oscar says, tensing the blade in his hand and looking for his mark. "Thank you so much," Maria says. But Oscar chooses his spot and dips the blade into the willowy flesh. A gush of blood spurts. A gusher. It spurts in a few plops, like a garden hose with your thumb over the nozzle. Then drips down onto the rim of her white crew neck shirt, pooling out into the linen fibers. "Ow!" she yells. "Did you cut me?" "Just a little nick. That's all," Oscar says. But his heart is racing, and his hands are shaking from the excitement. He tends to her wound quickly, efficiently, and professionally, with great care. But Maria is not having it. "I'm outta here, Pops. Until I get this looked at. Thanks a lot." "Thanks for nothing," Maria says as she stomps out. "But she will be back." Oscar smiles and pours himself some Sambuca Romana. "E.B.," he says, "isn't it just the darndest thing how satisfying it is to make a clean cut?" The fat apprentice barber looks up in shock, red onion and ham hanging out of his mouth, and attempts a smile, totally at a loss for what his boss is talking about. Oscar searches online for a proper bleeding bowl. Obviously, there is no such thing on Amazon. So, Oscar chooses an elegant stainless steel reserve bowl. At $43, it is a luxury purchase. Next, Oscar has to get his hands on a fleam. This is the best way to do bloodletting. It is clean and precise and quick, unless you tap the blade too hard and sever an artery. One would be surprised how fast a femoral artery bleeds out. Oscar purchases some tourniquets and various medical supplies. What will someone think if they find out what he is up to? A few days have passed, and Oscar's order has arrived. And this is Oscar's chance. Marjorie sits in Oscar's chair. She is in her 70s, a large black woman who wears gorgeous dresses and maintains the vanity of a much younger woman. She has great, dyed black hair that falls in waves. The fat of her lips and jowls is all in the right places to make for an inviting face that warms and endears. Found a spot on my liver. Maybe that is what is giving me all these liver spots and spider veins, she says. Maybe, Oscar says with a knowing grin. What's that look for? She asks. Nothing. It's just that they used to have a way to purify the liver. Back a long, long time ago, in medieval times. Purify the liver. Oh, yes, please. I could use some of that, Marjorie says. It's a little gothic, if you know what I mean. It involves a cut in the arm and draining your blood, Oscar says, as matter-of-factly as he can. Are you missing a screw? She says. I didn't think you'd be interested. It's only for people who are really serious about maintaining a youthful look, Oscar says. Evil humors. Heavens to Betsy. What will they think of next? She asks. Like I said, not for you. I already knew when I brought it up. But I have had some who've had miraculous results, Oscar said. Now, these results, it can clear up the skin, she asks. You would never believe me if I told you. Takes off 10 years, Oscar says. More than that, if you cut too deep, I'd imagine, Marjorie says. Well, we are all finished with your cut, so if there's nothing, I'll do it, Marjorie says. What, really? Oscar asks. Of course. 10 years, I have to see for myself, Marjorie says. Oscar fastens the tourniquet below her bicep. The veins under her black skin come forward. Deep blue rivers. Oscar begins to sweat, and his hands grow damp. 1 second, he yells, rushing to the back room for his bleeding bowl and phlegm. In seconds, he emerges with the utensils. Marjorie is singing, "Dit-da-dum, did-da-dum." Are you washed in the blood? In the soul-cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? As she hums and sings, Oscar sharpens the blade of the phlegm. He places the bleeding bowl on the floor below her left arm. Are you ready, Marjorie? Oscar asks in hushed tones. Are you ready? Let's get it over with already, she says. Oscar places the phlegm and its triangular blade just over the blood vessel on her left arm. It will just sting a bit, Oscar says, swinging his fist and digging the phlegm deep into her arm. Oh dear, Marjorie says. I already feel a bit lightheaded. Oscar sees the trickle of blood run down the arm to the fingers and the drip, 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 drip into the bowl. He grabs her bicep with pumping squeezes and says, more like this, Marge. This is better. Stop, Oscar. You are hurting me, Marjorie says. Just a little more, and it'll run good, Oscar says, with faraway eyes, glazed over in a helical madness. "I'm losing too much blood," Marjoire cries. "I'm going to bleed out." But Oscar cleans the wound with alcohol, does a quick butterfly stitch to seal the vein and the wound, and makes quick work with the bandages. Marjorie is ghastly pale. She gets up. She is trembling. She drops some money on the floor and turns and walks out in a trance. I won't be seeing her again, Oscar thinks, as the little bell sounds. And she leaves. In the back of the shop, with the blood bowl in hand, engorged in endorphins, Oscar observes the blood, sniffs it, puts in a finger, swirls it around, and indulges in a little taste. It tastes like steak. It tastes great. E.B. comes back from running errands and storms right up to Oscar when he walks in. "Boss, I got a call from Marjorie Jones on my way back over," E.B. says. "Did you get the inspection stickers?" Oscar says, referring to a little side business they have selling fake inspection stickers that are supposedly from the DMV. "Boss, that woman nearly died," E.B. says. "She was having skin problems, E.B. She was looking old. She proceeded at her own risk," Oscar says. "Oh yeah? You have a lawyer sort that one out?" E.B. asks. "It's nothing out of the ordinary," Oscar says. "Barbers have been doing it for hundreds of years. If you ever do anything like this again, I'm done. That's it," E.B. says. "The blood. It is the most extraordinary thing. Dark and also light, substantial, but also fluid." "Are you losing it, Oscar? Are you literally going crazy?" E.B. asks. "You know the feeling when you give someone a perfect cut?" Oscar asks, and continues. "It is the same feeling. Exactly the same." "Whatever, boss," E.B. says, sitting down and stress-eating his second hoagie of the day. Oscar walks back into the back of the shop and sees the old hand-drawn sign in the corner. Oscar's unisex cuts, 8 to 8 MS. Oscar goes into the refrigerator and stirs his fingers in the blood, then puts his whole palm in. Then he takes a fresh, hot towel and submerges it in the bloody liquid. He pulls it out and finds the white barber's pole that he bought from the specialty shop. He wraps the towel helically around the pole. It is a helical swirl of red and white, the red splatter of real blood. He puts the plastic covering over it, walking past E.B., eating his sub. Oscar goes outside and stands by the storefront. He takes a hammer and starts installing his new barber's pole. He stands back, hands on hips, admiring his work. His eyes are bloodshot from the adrenaline, and his lips are red from the blood. The courthouse. Almost 8:30 a.m. It was just before court would begin when his dead client, Mr. Black, showed up to talk. Benny knew the consequences for being late, so was short with him. "Why are you here now?" He spoke in a hushed tone to the apparition in front of him, glancing around as the Alameda County courtroom began to fill up. It would ruin his reputation as the best public defender in the county if people thought he spoke to ghosts. Mr. Black's gray suit the one he used to always wear, appeared now to fit him well. His cuffs were no longer frayed, the holes gone. Benny tasted the bitter shame of his failure with Mr. Black's case as his stomach knotted. "You owe me more." Mr. Black's voice was flat and emotionless, so different from his last day in this courtroom, when the coughs racked his body, his handkerchief filled with blood. Benny's elbows pressed into the table. The air in the courtroom hung thick and stale. His thin fingers nudged the yellow pad, straightening it imperceptibly. He moved his 2 pens, one black and one red, so that they were even to the pad. "I paid my debt," Benny whispered. "With the last one." Mr. Black's anger roared like a fire, heating up the air around Benny like a blast furnace. The other, past inhabitants of this room, raged, their hate overwhelming him, even with so many clients. Benny prided himself that he cared about everyone, those he had saved from jail time, and those who were put away. Mr. Black was the first one to come back and visit him, though, after dying in prison, professing his innocence with his last breath. For the accused, Benny, king of the pleas, was the PD to get in, Alameda County. Most of his clients walked, or at least avoided jail time. Benny averaged 600 cases each year, however, so had some losses. And Benny felt the pain of everyone, but innocence and guilt have no place in the criminal justice system. And Benny had begun to wonder if his work meant anything. Some of his clients were monsters, and better off behind bars. Benny worked for his clients, but he lived in this city, had to deal with the crime and violence. Should he put his thumb on the scales of justice? Today, his past clients were weighing in, screaming in thunderous rage, frustration, and anger at what happened to them in this cursed room. "I shouldn't be here. It's not my fault," one voice called out. "I'm innocent!" shouted another, then echoed over and over again into a cacophony overwhelming Benny. Mr. Black's face leaned in to Benny, his voice roaring. "Pay up, or else." Bang, bang, bang. A gavel thundered, echoing off the wood walls around him. Mr. Black left, fading into the crowd, and taking the voices with him. Benny released his breath, trying to focus on where he was and why. "The court is called to order," the judge called out. A pale, gray man with red and piercing eyes. His head floated above his black cloak. Benny blinked, looking around as the colors of the room came into focus. A man in an ill-fitting suit slumped next to him, eyes downcast. Fear vibrated in waves off the man. The fingers of his left hand pick at the nails of his right, over and over. The scraping sound like claws on steel bars. He leaned over to Benny. "Mr. Benny, We're going to be okay, right? You're going to save me. I mean, we have the receipt. It proves I wasn't there for the rape. They can't put this one on me. Benny nodded, but didn't turn. The man's high-pitched voice whined like a broken motor, his breath hot. Benny suddenly hated him, loathed him for being here and needing Benny's help. His life depended on Benny doing his job correctly. Did this man even deserve it? Benny peered toward him, just a glance out of the corner of his eye. Lean as a mop handle, he could not keep still, shoulders moving, fingers picking at imaginary flecks on his borrowed suit and the skin of his hands. Benny's lip curled in disgust. He opened the file, the case notes in perfect order, the receipt on top, stamped with proof of this man's location across town at the time of the sexual assault. The man's arm crossed in front of Benny, his skin red and mottled with sores. He pushed the receipt with a scarred finger. My Monopoly card, get out of jail free. He laughed. I need to keep that. There are a few other girls they don't know about yet. The man winked. Benny brushed his fingers on the receipt. Manicured fingernails pale over his dark skin, smoothing the wrinkled paper. A loud rushing sound filled Benny's head. They called to him. His clients who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time, whose lives he could not save due to a lack of this kind of solid alibi. He heard them screaming, shouting at the unfairness, the inhumanity. At the district attorney's table across from him, a tall, thin woman stared with shrewd, cold eyes. She turned away to put her head down into a stack of files. Voices cried out from her table too. People wronged and insulted in the worst way. Losing property, their self-respect, or their family, and then forced to sit in this horrible room and go home with nothing but tears and anger. Their voices were loud. Punish! Vengeance! An eye for an eye! The screams racked Benny's brain, and he shut his eyes. His hands flew to his temple, pressing in to quiet their cries. Bang, bang, bang. The gavel thundered again. Benny stood, motioning to his client to stand as well. Benny clenched his jaw and knew the answer to his dilemma. Forget what was best for the client or society. Benny needed to look out for himself. This man will be sacrificed to Mr. Black to appease him and the demons chasing Benny. This man was guilty, of course. Maybe not for this crime, but for another, Benny was certain. Benny will change places, go from the defender to the accuser, from the protector to the judge. His fingers moved, just a brief sweep, and the paper receipt floated unseen, down out of the file, into the trash can. Gone. The trial moved fast. A police officer, serious and trustworthy in his pressed blue uniform, pointed at the man next to Benny. That's the guy. Whispers erupted from the courtroom. Bodies shifted on the wooded seats, squeaking with their movements. "That man is just evil. I could tell right off," someone said. "The monster should hang for what he did to that girl." Another voice added. Bang, bang, bang. Justice thundered down from on high. "The verdict is guilty," the judge shouted, a sneer on his face. "Next." Benny squeezed his eyes shut as the voices in his head roared out, echoing, "Guilty! Guilty!" The bailiff pulled on the man next to him. "No, I'm innocent," he screamed. "Mr. Benny, what happened?" Mr. Black appeared in front of Benny, nodding before he left, with the man to his future hell. Then the voices were gone, the sudden silence deafening. Benny picked up his red hen to carefully put a small X to the end of the line of thousands of black and red marks, then lifted the next file off the foot-high stack next to him. "Justice will be done,"